What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast, Drinks After Work with Shelly Nicole. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It's warm. It was warm this weekend. It was warm yesterday. We're just, we're not going to even talk about the game. If you guys saw the game yesterday, we're just not going to talk about it. We're going to leave it alone. But, shout out to the Knicks for just getting to this point. How about that? Just getting to the point of yes, like we were there. But hopefully next year we'll get there. Hopefully, we'll try. But I had a good weekend. I worked, but and I went out with my friend Nisi on Saturday to how did you say it? Skinino. No, it's not. That's not how you say it. Skinos. That's how you say it. I've been messing up the whole name. Skinos is so nice. It's a really cute restaurant. It's on, I think, 230 Washington Street in the city. It's next to Morton Steakhouse. I know there's a ton of Morton Steakhouses, but it was really nice. Mediterranean food. The garlic bread was amazing. You can look at my TikTok, my personal TikTok, where I actually reviewed it. And that one is Sincerely Shelly too. That one's Sincerely Shelly, just like my Instagram. And I basically just did a little review about it, and the ambiance of the whole restaurant is really nice. It's a really cute restaurant if you want to go for your birthday, or if you want to go for date night, girls night. It's really cute. You got to dress up. You can't just walk in there. I mean, you can walk in there with jeans and sneakers, but it's you're gonna look out of place. You know what I mean? It's one of those restaurants. So but it was really nice. I liked the food. I had lamb chops. We both had lamb chops. I got my medium. I like my lamb chops medium. I don't like them well done. And she got the same thing. And then I had a crab cake, and I think she had shrimp or something like that. And then we had 2 lemon drops. They were very good. But I did a whole review. How I really feel when I go to these restaurants. I don't just, speak on it just because it's a nice restaurant and so many people have gone to it. I found that restaurant on TikTok, so I know other people who have wanted to go. I read that people said they wanted to go but they never went. But you could definitely see that Black people, when we find something on TikTok, we be in there. It was a whole lot of us. I mean, it gradually got busy as the time went on, but we went at a decent time, and it was just nothing but Black folks, all Black folks celebrating their birthday, enjoying themselves, looking really nice, all dressed up. So it's definitely a place I would say to go to for date night or for your birthday or just any special occasion. It's really pretty, and the service was very nice. So everybody in there was very sweet and very helpful. And then I bought this book by Pastor Sarah Jake Roberts. I love listening to her on Sundays. Between her and her father, Bishop T.D. Jakes, and Pastor Keon Henderson, I feel like my calling is to Texas, because they're all down there. I think they're in Dallas, and I think Pastor Keon's is in Houston. I think it's somewhere in there. But I think he has multiple churches. So I watch them on Sundays, and she's on her tour now for her new book, Power Moves. And I wanted to get the book because I really wanted to obviously read it, but obviously for, developmental and basically learning new things and becoming a better woman as I get older. And why not read from somebody who has insight on said thing, right? So, which also leads me to say this is why I decided to make this the last episode of the season. And given the fact that it is Mental Health Awareness Month in May, naming this episode Your Mental Health Matters, and becoming a better you is important. And just really wanting to step on the topic mainly because so many people struggle with mental health. So many people struggle with being open and honest about what they really feel on the inside. And so many people are just so nervous to like speak on something that can easily be labeled as, like you're psychotic or you're crazy or you're dumb, you're this, like all these different labels that can come out when someone says that they have a mental health issue. And mental health is like, it's so important. And many people also experience like stigma or discrimination and violations of human rights. But people who basically, when I say like, when you're going through mental illnesses or mental issues, you can have anxiety disorder, you can have depression, bipolar, PTSD, if you know what that is, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, eating disorder, disruptive behavior, dissocialized and disorders, and neurodevelopment disorders. It's a ton of things. It's not necessarily one specific thing when we talk about mental health. And you can be a functional mental, like you could be so functional that people would not even realize that there's something wrong with you or that you're going through this in your mind. But there are so many people that are like that. And it's so important really to, one, make sure you get the help that you need and seek the help that you need, because you're not alone. There's so many people out here who deal with that. And I feel like the more and more we talk about it, the more and more people will feel open to say like, I have this problem too, but I'm seeking help and doing what I have to do to get myself out of this situation. So everyone basically has a past, right? Everyone has a past, everybody has a present, and everybody has hopes to see the future. But what if you want your future to look better than your past or your present? What if you know that doing the work yourself is no longer helping? Right? Because for so long, a lot of us, we like to make it seem like we have it all under control and we don't need any help and we don't need to seek therapy and we don't need to seek a professional. You got it. And then something snaps in you, and then out of nowhere, you're either crying or you're huddled on the floor in like a curl position and you're having bad anxiety, you almost have a heart attack, you're going into the hospital. Like, so many things that could have happened at that situation because you chose not to ask for help. But what if a part of speaking to God, you feel like another person can help you from your trauma and your dilemmas? Because it's always good to also speak to God and ask him like how to help you through your anxious moments. And it says it in the Bible, cast all your cares onto God, for he cares for you. And all your anxieties that you're feeling, to also speak to him through it as well. But sometimes you need that extra push, you need that extra help. And seeking therapy and going to therapy has not only been great for myself, vulnerable moment, going to therapy has been it's been very helpful. So I've been going to therapy for years, honestly, on and off, and it's really just to talk to someone who's unbiased information or unbiased, I guess, opinion about like things that I may be feeling, or if I'm just like not in the right headspace to like think about things, think things through. And in doing that, it has really helped me with, and also with working out, because going to the gym definitely helps. It has definitely helped with a lot of my anxiety, a lot of my thinking negatively, a lot of things that have happened in relationships, having gone through, like, I guess you could say it is PTSD when you think about it, relationship PTSD, which is actually really a thing. And which is crazy, me and my coworkers were talking about this, and we were saying how so many people go through relationship PTSD and they don't realize it until they get into another relationship. Like, ooh, I really have something that I need to talk about and I need to get fixed. But you don't see it as PTSD. You just see it as a moment of like, oh, it's just something that I went through, and it's just how I am, and this is just, I'm dealing with the, I guess, aftermath or the result of whatever happened in my past relationship, and not realizing they're bringing it into their new one. Well, sweetheart, that's trauma. You're going through trauma. That's PTSD. You have that. So, realizing that so many people actually have that. And when, like I said, when me and my coworkers were talking about it, all of us were like, damn, we have PTSD. And it was guys and girls. It wasn't just girls. It was a few of us that were like, yeah, we've been through some stuff. And, that can be a whole reason as to why relationship PTSD is what it is. But there's family PTSD, there's friendship PTSD, there's so many different forms of post-traumatic stress disorder. It doesn't necessarily have to be by one specific thing. I know so many people kind of like equate it to the military. Shout out to all the soldiers. Shout out to Rob, my bro. I don't even know where he's at. I don't even want to say the wrong place that he is at, but shout out to him. Having PTSD, a lot of people have said like, oh, that's just a military thing. No, it's not just a military thing. I've heard people say that. I've heard people say like, yeah, it's something that soldiers go through, which I feel like a lot of them do because of the things that they see and that they have to do to defend our country. But it's not just for that. It can be for any type of situation, and you don't realize it until you're put back in that situation that you have said problem. So therapy, I feel like, is just something that everybody needs. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care who you know. I don't care who your dad is. I don't care who your mother is. Everybody needs therapy. And I highly, highly suggest it for everybody to do, honestly. I actually helped a few people recently when they were talking about it, and we were having this conversation about, the benefits of therapy. So in talking about mental health, right, I do want to bring up why I feel like therapy, and if not therapy, a close friend. Because some people can't afford therapy. Some people, it's not in their insurance. I know, like, that's a thing that I'm dealing with right now. Like, I don't get it. Like, we pay insurance for what at this point? What are we paying insurance for? For everything to just not, like, you get the bare minimum and then you got to pay for everything else. Like, I don't understand it, but whatever. Anyway, for those who don't have insurance and want to seek help, you have to find like a trusted friend, or like to have like, there are hotlines for mental health and suicide. There's definitely hotlines for suicide, and I'm going to make sure I put all of this in the info box and the description box and everything. That way there's the information there for people who don't know that it's out there. Which you should, because 9 out of 10 times whenever they are talking about anything as far as mental health and dealing with, even domestic violence and things like that, I feel like they always promote it. They always put the number and the website out there. But either way, I'm going to put that and share that with you guys as well. But seeking therapy or having a close friend that you can rely on, that you can actually tell these things to that you're actually going through, is essential. And it's essential that way, it's essential to know that you have someone in your corner that won't judge you, that won't look down on you, that won't do the whole, well, I told you so, if you would have just listened. I hate when people do that. Like, well, see, I told you. Didn't nobody ask you if, well, see, I didn't ask you for that. I went through it. Okay, cool. Now just be there and let me know what is it that I can do to change it. But to have people like that, whether it be a therapist or whether it be a group of friends or just a friend that you can rely on to speak about whatever it is that's going on behind closed doors, right? Because we always put out these positive things on social media. We always put out these, happy quotes and this is how we were feeling. But a lot of the times people are hiding behind that. There's always like, I said to somebody one day that I wish, if I sound like really nasally, I'm so sorry. My allergies are kicking. They're kicking my tail right now. like nonstop. The last few weeks, I've just been sniffling and completely out of it. But anyway, I said to somebody one day, I was like, I wonder if, like, if you ever played The Sims and they had like that little dot or that little bouncing like diamond over their head, or was it like a trapezoid or something like that that was over your head? If you can like just hit it and you can just see like a glimpse of what they're going through, what issues they have, what like their mood swings, like just like this little glimpse of just like a summary of what's going on with them at this current moment. You know how nice people would be to each other if we can just like touch it and just see like what's going on with them. And they'll never know that we're looking at it. They'll just know that like, oh, okay, like this is how you're feeling. But it would be weird, like if it would be interesting if we can actually have something like that. But just to know, like, people put up, like I said, this picture, and they make it seem like everything is going fine on Instagram and on Facebook, but so many people are fighting things behind closed doors that you don't know nothing about. So it's great to speak to your therapist however many times you want to speak to them, whether it be once a week, once every 2 weeks, I would not recommend once every 3 weeks, but once every 2 weeks or once a week, to just get whatever's on your chest, whatever's on your mind, whatever is, causing you stress, whatever is causing you anxiety, whatever you're dealing with. Especially if you had thoughts of suicide, you definitely should be speaking to a therapist and figuring out why you're feeling that way. And what I was saying is I was helping someone, because now you have so many things at our hands to help us. So you have BetterHelp.com for those of you who want to seek therapy or try therapy. You have BetterHelp.com. They do have payment plans, I believe, but that's not really like insurance wise. I don't think they go through your insurance. I'm not sure. I think the last time I looked at it, they didn't, but you have BetterHelp.com, and they match you with a therapist that meets your needs. So you answer a few questions, and they match you up with a few therapists that you can either virtually, I think it's all virtual. You can virtually just talk to, and feel free to say however you're feeling. There's Talkspace.com as well, and then there's GoodTherapy.com. And if none of those are helpful, which they should be, but if none of those are helpful, if you have the app ZocDoc, that's where I found my therapist at, was ZocDoc. And you can put in what you need or what you're looking for, your area, and they give you a list of doctors that you can have a virtual. I think some of them are doing in-person sessions as well, but I feel like a lot of them are staying with virtual. And pick a time, pick a date, and boom. And that one on ZocDoc goes through your insurance. So you can actually put your insurance at the top, and it will tell you where, or what doctor is in your, equate with your insurance. Sorry. Couldn't get the word out. But, yeah, there's a ton of things out here for you guys to look at, and for you to a bunch of resources for you to like get into whenever you're not sure about something. So I feel like a lot of people, especially Black people, choose not to go to therapy because we feel like, remember like back in the day when I guess like our grandparents, mostly, maybe not our parents, well, probably our parents too, but I feel like our grandparents more so, would say like, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. And you don't talk and tell everybody else what's going on in the house. Whatever happens. And I think we've come to that mindset so much and so frequently now as a people that we don't, and not just Black people, I feel like Hispanic people as well, Latinos, like I feel like they have the same thing. probably, I feel like a lot of people, I can't even say just them either, because I feel like Asians as well. Like, I know a few Asians actually, but I know two Asian women who have said like it's prim and proper all the time for them, and you would never know anything is going on with them because they can't show the outside world how they're really feeling, and it's kind of the same way of how they were raised. But I feel like for us Black people, we choose not to seek the help because we've been told for so long to just keep it in the house. Keep it behind closed doors. Whatever's bothering you, whatever's happening, you just handle it when you get home. But then it's like, when you handle it when you're behind, how do you handle it when you're behind closed doors? We resort to drinking. Do we resort to drugs? Do we resort to gambling? Do we resort to sexually acting out? What is it that we do to fix that problem that we're having? And a lot of the times it's unhealthy. And a lot of the times there's no other outlet that we go to, because we just automatically go to the worst things that we can possibly go to whenever we're dealing with these issues that are deep down, that some people have even said that are just in our DNA. And because of slavery and because of what we've been through, it's just been passed down. And I mean, I'm no scientist, I'm no expert. I can understand where that comes from. But, now speaking in 2024, who's going to break that curse? Each family has a curse in their family when it comes to mental health. If it's actually true that it's in our DNA and it's rooted in our thinking. But each of us have a moment now to speak on it and to see it and to observe it and to point it out respectfully. You ain't gotta get disrespectful with your mother and your father. I ain't telling you to do all that, but to respectfully point it out and see like, okay, this is what's been going on in my family for so long. This mental illness has been causing so much rift in my family, or these issues that we just choose not to address has come up. So let's try to fix it now. And me, my brother, and my cousins actually, we did that a few years ago, and we pointed out to our elders, and we just like speak about it here and there. But it's good for them to see like, that's possibly true. Like, we have these things that we just keep hidden because, again, back then they just kept things to themselves. Like, you didn't know things were going on in the house unless they chose to tell you, or unless you were there. So I feel like as a people, we just choose to not speak on the things that we need to, which then causes us even more issues, causes more of a demise in our development and in our changing and getting to that place of like being mentally stable and getting through life without having as much stress, because there's always going to be stress, but finding a way to navigate through the stress and navigate through the problems that we face every day. So that's just, that's just my observation about it. Everybody has their own opinion, but you can also leave your comment. And how do you feel about your family, or just as a race, your own race, whichever race you are, how you handle mental illness, and how is it handled? Is it always swept under the rug? Is it spoken about? Are you afraid to speak about it? Are you told like, suck it up, there's nothing wrong with you, or, whatever the case may be? Like, leave a comment. I want to know exactly how it's been handled, or how you've seen it to be handled in your family, or just in your life period. Not necessarily in your family, but just in life. So when I posted that I was going to be doing this episode, a few people asked this question when it came to therapy. And again, mental health, if you can't seek a therapist because financially it just doesn't work for you, try to find a trusted friend. Try to find somebody who, like I said, is not going to judge you, who you can speak about anything with. If it's not a friend, if it's like somebody a coworker at work that you actually trust, which I don't know if you really want to do that, but nonetheless, you have, I believe there's other options for people to exercise if at any given moment. It could be somebody online. It's like so many people that you can meet on Instagram, so many people that you can meet on TikTok or whatever, like just anywhere that you can meet somebody who you can trust to speak to. But people had asked questions about therapy, and because I said I go, and a few of my other friends go, and a bunch of other people that I know are thinking about going, but they had basically asked some questions, and they said, one question was, is therapy scary? No, it's not scary. But what I will say is that therapy is going to have you, okay, well, actually, let me not say that it's not scary. It could be scary to certain people, because depending on your therapist, will depend on what you guys, how he or she will navigate with you through getting to the bottom of what you're feeling and how you feel that way and how it came about. And for some therapists, they dig deep. They dig deep. I was actually going to get one of my old friends. She's actually a therapist, but there was something that she had to do, so she wasn't able to come on. But they will dig deep, and they'll go back into your childhood. And I remember my therapist, I said, this is years ago, my therapist was like, so, like, you know, I was talking to her about things I was dealing with and stress and whatever. And she was like, oh, okay. So one day she's like, so tell me about your childhood. I said, huh? I'm like, excuse me? And I'm just like, what are we talking? Like, why are we going to my childhood? Like, what does that have anything to do with it? And when you think about it, that's where it all stems from. And whether it was a good childhood, whether it was a bad childhood, whatever, when you go back, all the way back, from as far as you can think, everything of how you're doing and how you're thinking now is a result from back then. And we don't think about it. We don't really, think that has anything to do with it. But a lot of our behaviors and how we act and how we talked and what we're, addicted to or not addicted, like just anything, it results from how we were raised, and it results from things that we may have seen or whatever the case may be, but it goes back to your childhood. So when she asked me that, I was just like, girl, why? Like, now you're prying. Like, okay, I'm asking you for certain things that I just need help with, but I don't need to be going back to my childhood. But again, my childhood wasn't terrible. So it's just like, I had a very good childhood. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I had a good childhood. So it was just like, why am I going back all the way back there? But that's why I said it can be scary, because for certain people, having to relive that, depending on, however you were raised and the circumstances, right? Going back to that may trigger you and may get you to feel like, I don't want to do it. But in order to heal whatever it is that's bothering you now, you have to go back to that. And it's just for a little bit. It's not like, it's for a little bit, but you're going to dig deep though. It's not like you're going to constantly go weeks on end about your childhood, but you're going to have to speak about what occurred at this, whatever given time, right? That y'all choose, and understand that maybe this is why this is like this now, or maybe this is why I think the way I think now, or how I interact with people now. So to answer the question, is therapy scary? It can be, depending on who you are, honestly. Another person asked, what do they really tell you in therapy? And again, it depends on who you go to. It depends on your therapist. It depends on what you're going to therapy for. And again, I'm no expert. I'm not board certified. I'm not mental health philosopher. I don't have my degree in mental health. I'm just going based off of my personal experience and the experiences of others who I do know that have gone through the same situation, and people who have reached out to me in general about like, oh, how is there, like, how do you go about therapy, or have you ever tried it, or just, things like that. Like, this is just my own personal opinion. I always give you guys my own opinion about things, and things that can just help you, like, for you to grow, because we're all growing. But it really depends on what you're going to therapy for. It could be, like I said, it could be for anything. Doesn't necessarily have to be for PTSD. It doesn't necessarily have to be for anxiety. It could be for whatever you're going through at the time. So again, when you answer the questions and you try to find your therapist, that will then help to answer that question better, depending on who you are. This was actually a great question too, when someone said, how do you know therapy is working? So the only way that you know therapy is working is you don't know. You won't know if therapy is working until you're in the situation again, or until you relive that moment again, whatever moment it may be, because it always ends up coming back around. Maybe not with the same people, maybe not in the same situation, maybe not in the same state, whatever. But there's always some little hint to see, like, or some little trigger, some little event that will get you to see if your therapy is working, to really see if the work that you're putting in is actually working. And then the other thing that I feel like you have to do is you have to be honest. Therapy only works if you're honest. If you're not honest with yourself, you're not on. Again, this is somebody who doesn't know you. And again, if you are speaking to someone who does know you, this is someone who's not going to belittle you. This is someone who's not going to talk down on you. This is someone who's going to be able to listen, be honest with you, and just hear you speak and give their opinion when it's needed, or give their feedback when it's needed. But if you are seeking a professional therapist, this is somebody who doesn't know you. So they're hearing everything that you're telling them. But you have to be honest, and you can't just sit here and, point the finger at everybody else and what did everybody else do. Granted, that is a big part in it, but you also have to be honest with yourself and tell yourself and come to terms with yourself. What did you do? How did you play a role into this? And that was something that took me a very long time to understand, like, well, Michelle, what did you do, sweetheart, to get yourself into this anxious moment or into this stressful moment? How did you not and one thing that my mom and dad would always say, like, they'll say it to this day. I mean, I'm better at it now though. I don't ask for help. And that was a big part of why I was always so stressed out, because I always wanted to do everything on my own. And my mom and dad would be like, would you stop doing that? Like, just ask us for help. And it took me a very long time to get to that point where I was just like, okay, let me ask. And like, I would just tippy toe and like, hey, can I ask a question? But, yeah, like, you have to be honest with yourself. You really have to, in order to see the work happen, in order to see it progress, in order for you to really come out of whatever it is you're going through, you have to be honest with every single part about what's going on. And you'll start to see, little at a time, the changes. Another way that you can help with your mental health is to, especially now with the way our society is set up, with us having our device at our hand, like right there, information right on our hand. We don't even have to go far to get any type of information or to look at pictures or to know what's going on. Get off of social media for a while. My brother did, I think I spoke about this a while ago, where my brother took a very long hiatus off of social media. And I always say to myself, like, if it wasn't for this podcast, I would be on a hiatus as well, for some time. But I've learned to navigate what days I'm going to post, what days I'm not going to post, what days I'm going to just like have 24 hours of not being on social media and just doing other things. Or even, sometimes I even do 2 days without going on social media. Not just one day. I'll do 2. I haven't done 3 yet. It may be coming though. But because of this platform now that I'm creating, I do have to be on social media. But what I also do is I turn off my notifications. So if ever you're DMing me, I'm sorry, I'm going to get them late, because I personally, that's my way of detaching from society when I don't want to necessarily be in it all the time. And if you're not, not the type of person who has a platform that you're trying to create, or if, social media is just for entertainment purposes, you should also really consider taking some time away from it. And I don't even mean just taking some time away by you're not, like, as in you're not posting anything, you're not sharing no stories. I'm talking about literally not seeing anything for months. Deactivate your social media if you have to. Delete the app if you have to. And when you're ready to come back, you come back, because social media will make you feel like you're not doing enough. Social media will make you feel like you're running out of time, that why can't I have this? Because again, people only show the good. They never show the bad. They never show the struggle. They never show the amount of times they had to give up and start all over again and do it all over. Like, social media isn't as honest as people make it seem like it is. It's like really like it's like a car show. That's really all it is. And just get in tune with yourself and figure out who you are and what do you want to do and what do you like, and to just detach from this world and everything that's going on in it, because it's just not entertainment and celebrities and what they got going on and all of these things. It's everything. It's the war going on. It's the inflation going on. It's the people who are homeless that can't afford a home. It's the immigrants coming to the country. It's so many things that's going on right now that can make you feel depressed and overwhelmed. It's good to detach. So I would suggest having a few months away from social media when you can, and come back when you're ready. Come back when you're happier, or when you're not as overwhelmed. Another thing that like I even always wanted to do was I wanted to take a solo trip. Now I know like for females it's probably way more scarier than it is for men, but I always wanted to take like a solo retreat trip. And I know they have like some retreats in like Arizona. I think they have some in California. I'm not sure if they have any on the East Coast. They probably do. But I do know that there are 2 that I did look up, and they're expensive. See, this is what I'm saying. What are we paying insurance for? Because insurance should be paying for that. I'm just saying, if it's a retreat, if it's a mental retreat, y'all should be paying for it. I said what I said. But okay. They have, like I said, those retreats where you get in tune with yourself, you pray, you meditate, there's no phones, like you really just detach, you eat better, cleaner, and you just do a lot of holistic things to make yourself become one with yourself. And like you're in nature, and I don't even think there's like any TV. It looks really peaceful though. But I know they have one, like I said, in Arizona, I believe, and then there's one in LA. But I want to see if they have one in the East Coast. They probably have some international too, but I ain't there yet. I don't think I'm gonna take an international trip by myself yet. Although some people did say that it's really peaceful, like it's enjoyable to just take a trip by yourself and just enjoy your time to yourself. But then again, times we live in, I don't know if I want to do that by myself. I'd have to bring like another friend who wants to do the same thing. Like, you want to do this retreat, and just like we detach, and clearly like we'll be on our own journeys, and we'll have our own rooms, and it will just be our own thing. But I won't be on the resort by myself. Like, I'll have someone who I know that's there. But doing a solo retreat is also a good way to get to a better mental health state. And even if you can't afford like a solo trip, right? Or even if you're scared to do a solo trip, I feel like you have to know there's certain things about you that you like. So if you know that, it's a nice day out, go take yourself on a date. Whatever that may be. Get your hair done, get your nails done, or just go by the water. Sit there with a book or some music and just chill, some food, and relax. If that means going shopping, go shopping. Like whatever it is that you need to do to mentally get yourself back in a better space, do that. And if you constantly have people constantly hitting you all day, like, hey, I've been looking for you, or I've been talking, like, I'm trying to talk to you, like, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. It's okay for you to tell people, I'm taking a me day. I'm taking a personal time to myself, and I need to regroup. And this is me regrouping. I need to disconnect from everybody. And please don't take things like that personal. Like, if you're the type of person to be like, well, what makes you, like, damn, you couldn't answer my phone call or you couldn't answer my text message. I get that you need your own personal time, but you could have at least answered, excuse you. Who are you? No, my personal time is my personal time. I will hit you when I need to hit you or when I feel like it. I never understand the entitlement of people feeling like they need to be answered if I'm going through like my own personal things, and if I'm addressing that to you and I'm telling you that, like, no, I'm taking a personal day, I'm just relaxing. Just take that for what it is and just leave it there. But get to know yourself. Spend some time with yourself. See what you like to do. Go to the spa. I love me a good spa. I could be in the spa from sun up to sundown. I am not going to hold you. A facial, a body massage, a body scrub, pedicure, the whole 9 with the Zen music and the waterfall. Give me that any day. And I feel so much better and I feel so much calmer. Get me a little bit of food, some tacos or whatever, a little something, and enjoy the day. Be outside. I like to be by the water. So again, whatever it is that finds you peace. If going to the gym finds you peace, go to the gym. If going to they have these things called rec rooms. I don't know if you guys have heard rec rooms, but they have them I know they have them on Groupon too, but I know there's some in the city. I think there's some in Williamsburg where you go into this room and you just smash it like all over the place, like TVs and like just old things that they just find. I don't know where they find it from, but just these old different electronics that you can just toss to the wall. You could just take a hammer to, and it's like you relieve stress. You could do that as well. Going, I don't know, rock climbing, going on a hike. There's so many beautiful places in I think it's a little further. It's kind of like upstate New York, but not really. It's some place further up, like in Westchester, where you can go on hikes and just be one by yourself with music and nature and just sit and just chill and just detach from the busyness and the traffic and the noise and the pollution and everything else. There are things around here that you can actually do that will help for you to detach yourself and to just have alone time with yourself. Now, before I end this episode, it was really straight to the point, because I know I get how addressing your mental health can be very scary, and it may not be something that you're ready to do, because you are going to be asked to dig deep. You are going to be asked to relive and just touch on some parts of your life where you may have tried to put in the back. But the more and more and more you keep trying to put everything to the back, the more and more and more it's going to show up. And eventually it's going to show up at a time where you think you're healed and you think you're over it, and it's going to hit you smack dead in the face, and you're not going to know how to handle it. I think whatever you're going through, again, this is my personal opinion. You guys choose to do what you feel, but I feel like, in my personal opinion, if anything is bothering you now, or if you need an outlet, you should really try to seek therapy or seek a friend or a counselor or somebody who you can go to, because it's real. It's way more prevalent, I feel like, now, because not saying that there wasn't a lot of things going on back in the day, like in our parents' time and our grandparents' time, but I feel like we just have so much, like I said, in our hands that we can just click a button and we could just see everything. And it can be very overwhelming for our generation and the generation under me. What are y'all called? The Gen Zs? I'm a millennial. So I guess that they're the Gen Zs. And then the ones after that, I don't know what you guys are. The Gen whatevers. But I feel like it's very important for you to get yourself on the right track and keeping a tight circle. Enough with this big circle, these enormous amount of friends that you need around you. If you have a good solid five, you're good, you're straight, you're fine. And 5 people, like I said, who won't judge you, who probably have been through the same thing you've been through, who wants to uplift you, who wants to see you do better. You're doing great. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I feel like that also plays into a lot of people's mental health when they know that they don't have that friend group that they wish that they had or they want to have. Even your family, if there's people in your family who are toxic, if there's people in your family who are not helping the situation that you're trying to come out of, maybe you have to distance yourself from them as well. And not to say that you don't love them, not to say that you don't care about them. Same thing with your friends, but just like you want to have positive relationships in your life, especially when you're going through this shift and you're dealing with something so serious as your mental health, because there's so many different disorders, there's so many different ways that it can be triggered, and you don't want to keep putting yourself in the predicament to be triggered all the time when you have these people or these situations around you. So I really do feel like it's something that everybody should at least look up. You know what I mean? At least dip your toe in it. See how it is. See how the water is. And I'm always open for people who want to ask me questions. Like, ask me questions. I'll give you my honest, unfiltered opinion. And I'll tell you how it made me feel, how I went about it. And I feel like, again, you need people like that around you who are open and who are honest with what actually has happened or is happening in their life. And yeah, definitely have that around. But lastly, since it's been like the topic of conversation these last couple of days, especially with domestic violence and the things that are going on with poor Cassie and Diddy and the whole entertainment industry, I personally feel like, y'all know I really don't like to speak on these rich people and their problems, but this is something that a lot of women and men have gone through, because men can be victims of domestic violence as well. And there's nothing funny about it either. So I don't understand why people laugh about it. Like, oh, you got your ass beat by a girl. That they still have trauma. That's still an issue. That's still something that they're, having to live with. But this whole thing with Diddy and Cassie, it's like, I feel so bad. And I wasn't the one who, I personally, when she came out and said it the first time before the video came out months ago, I think it was months ago or like years ago. No, it wasn't years ago. I don't know. But when she first came out and said that, she was going through this and he had hit her, I didn't think she was lying. And it's always when a woman is either dead or a woman is fighting for her life, or like there's actual evidence of the violence actually happening, that people then want to take it serious. And sometimes that can be too late. I think it was very brave of Cassie to come out and say that. I feel like whatever else is hidden is about to hit the fan. It's gonna take a toll on both parties mentally. I don't feel like people are right for saying when Diddy, I guess, made that statement and, said that he asked God for his mercy and his grace, I don't feel like in the comments people were chewing him up, but I don't feel like people were right in saying like, oh, don't come running to God now. You run to God whenever you feel like you need to run to God. Point blank, period. Whether it be times of need or times of, in good times or bad times, you run to God whenever you feel like you need to. And sometimes, like I've said this before, sometimes God shakes the table. He shakes the table. He wakes you up. He comes to you in your dreams. He tells you things that you need to hear. And sometimes it's louder than what you thought what it would be. But maybe all the other times when he was trying to get your attention, you didn't listen. So now he's getting your attention even louder. I hope Diddy learns from this, especially because he has daughters. I hope he gets whatever necessary mental counseling that he needs. I hope Cassie gets that, because although she's probably in a beautiful, because obviously we don't know her, but she's probably in a beautiful marriage now. She has 2 daughters. She's loved by her husband and her family and her friends, and that's great. But even with her having all of that, she probably has her moments where she thinks about it. There's probably something that may trigger her, and she may feel like it may bring her back to those times. So I hope and I pray that Cassie is still healing and still getting over it, and especially now having to relive it and having to see the videos circulate. But I know, I would hope at least that her family and friends are holding it down, like making sure that she doesn't see things like that. But I just hope that the both of them get the healing and the necessary help that they need in order to get past a time like that has happened for so long. And if anybody's going through any domestic violence issues, listen, I don't care how good it is. I don't care how sweet he is. I don't care how sweet she is. I don't care how much money they spend on you. I don't care about none of that. If anybody's putting their hands on you, it's time for you to go. It ain't love. Nobody loves you if they put their hands on you. Nobody respects you if they put their hands on you. That person has a problem. It's not you. It's them. They have a issue. And if you want to see tomorrow, if you want to be granted to see the rest of your future, you need to leave. You need to get up. You need to go. Whatever you need to take, get up and go. Whether that be you have to get on a bus, whether that be you have to go into a shelter, you have to go to, I don't even know if you can do this, but I'm pretty sure you can. If you have to go to your the firehouse. If you have to go to your local firehouse, you got to go to your local police station, whatever. Get out, because it's not worth it. It's really not. It's not worth the scars. It's not worth the mental issues that you're going to have to deal with. It's not worth if you have children, it's not worth your children having to see that. It's not worth them growing up being a resemblance of what they've seen. It's not worth it. And I know it's probably easier said than done, but it can happen. And there's always a way out. And there's always a way for you to remove yourself. They don't put yourself in that situation. I was going to say that they don't love you if they put their hands on you, but they could love you, but that's besides the point. It negates itself when they start putting their hands on you. It doesn't matter if they love you or not, because nobody who loves you puts their hands on you. No one who really cares about you wants to ever hurt you in any type of way, mentally or physically. Because PTSD doesn't necessarily have to come from physical Like I said, I've talked about that earlier. It can be mental as well. It can be financial. It can be emotional. It doesn't necessarily have to be one specific thing. But if you are going through that, you need to get out. And again, I'm going to put the number, the hotline of domestic violence, of mental health, of suicide prevention, suicide hotline, that you guys can all reach if ever you're feeling away, if ever there's something that you're going through that you're not sure who you can talk to. I'm open. I'm very open. Like, again, I'm not a mental therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm none of the above. I am just a person who has been through the ups and downs in her personal life, and I have gone on my spiritual journey, still going through it, and realizing what I need to let go of, what I need to hold on to, and who I need to hold on to. And for me, that has been God helping me through everything that I have personally had to deal with without, putting so much stress on everybody else. But, or me thinking that I'm putting stress on everybody else, but just going through it with the therapy and with getting to know myself and really just letting go and moving on and reading and speaking to who I need to speak to and just doing a bunch of inner work to get to where I'm at now. And again, the work never, and that's another thing. Therapy is not a one and done thing. Therapy can take for as long as it needs to take. There are people who are in therapy for years. For years. I mean, think about it. If you're going to therapy now and you're in your 30s, that's 30 years of you, not maybe 30. Let's say 25. 25 years of you having to go through and relive and literally with a fine tooth comb, having to go through every bit of your life of whatever had happened. And it doesn't take a year for you to be healed. It doesn't take a month. It doesn't take a week. It doesn't take a day. It takes a while. And however long it takes is however long it takes. And you don't have to broadcast it to everybody. Some people feel like, oh, well, do I need to now say this? Like, because again, we're in this whole society now where we have to broadcast every fucking thing that we're doing. You don't have to let everybody know this is what you're going through. You don't have to let everybody know that you're going to seek some help. You could tell one or two people and that's it. Keep it small. Keep it cute. It doesn't have to be all over the world. But to not seek it is only hurting yourself even more. And that is a wrap for season 1, guys. Thank you so much for listening every Monday at 6 o'clock. My episodes. It's surreal that I've done 23 episodes already for the first season. But I'm so glad that I've done it. I've pushed myself to just keep going. There were so many times I was just like, nobody's listening to me. Like, sometimes you wouldn't get any I wouldn't get any listeners, and then there'd be certain topics where I get like 150 listeners, and I'm just like, wow, okay. But next season is gonna be way better, way more controversial topics, way more things that people have actually hit me up and said they wanted to talk about, and I was like, ooh, that's a good one. Like, there's some things, this is what I tell y'all, like, let me know what y'all want to talk about, because sometimes I'll be thinking about some things and I'm just like, no, I don't think I want to talk about that. Like, that's going to really stir the pot. Like, that's going to turn some wigs. But I don't mind it, because I feel like so many things have to be talked about that people just don't want to talk about, and they're just keeping it to themselves, and they're just like keeping the anger and the frustration to them. Like, I know, let's talk about it, because I know this is how y'all really feel. I know this is how y'all feel. But season 1 was great. It was an eye-opener. There was so much that I learned, and so much that I'm bringing with me into season 2 to just do better with, and just keep going. I mean, I have so much more to go, so why not? But I thank you guys for listening every Monday at 6 o'clock tune in to Drinks After Dark, which will be season 2 for the summertime. Those those are going to be some hot topics. But I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait for you guys to tune in. I cannot wait for you guys to be a part of the conversation. I cannot wait for you guys to put your input in, because it's the Drinks After Work. It's the unfiltered podcast. It's the podcast that we talk about not what these celebrities are doing. We talk about what real life people are doing, what real life people are going through. And that's what I loved about doing it. And I'm going to continue to do it. But I thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys have a great night. Whatever happened today, leave it into today. Don't bring it into tomorrow, as I always say. And I love you guys for listening. Take care, guys. I'll see you in a few weeks. Later.